Hello there everybody, RegiTime here, making a video with my YouTube channel, and it's not really a video, it's more of a podcast. I'm going to be doing maybe one podcast per week where I call up a micro-stakes poker player that's either contacting me via 2+2, Reddit, Poker VIP, Poker Market, that type of thing, got in touch with me via Skype or email, and answer some questions that they may have about how to make micro-stakes and nano-stakes poker work for them. This isn't going to be a hand review thing. This isn't going to be talking about any specific, like, one technical part of poker. It's more of a, this is what I have a problem with and how do I deal with it, or this is what I'd like to know, what's your opinion on it types of questions. So without further ado, I'm going to call James up on Skype. James is a player I've known for a little while now, and he's got some questions for me. I don't know what they are. He's given me a little bit of a clue, but I didn't want to be too well prepared because I want it to be natural and flowing. I don't want it to be something where it's too clinical and well delivered. I just want it to be like a conversation between the two of us, and not very much a he asks a question, I deliver an answer. So yeah, I'm going to call James up. The next time you hear us talking, he's going to pause the video while I do it. He's just at the minute finishing a game off, and yeah, the next voice you'll hear is both James and I, and we'll be tackling James's questions. I do hope you enjoy it. Please let me know what you think of the format as a podcast, not as something to listen to, rather than something to watch. Thank you very much, and we'll be back very soon. You won't notice the switch. Here we are now, back with James, and he's all set to hit me some questions. We just had a brief discussion about the nature of them, but we haven't gone into it very much because it'd be like Groundhog Day for James. So away you go, James. I don't know how many questions you've got exactly, but let's just tackle them.
Basically, the first is, how would you go about making £10 an hour?
£10 an hour. Well, that's probably what I am making, and I go about it by.
Sorry, I said £10. I meant $10 because most of the sites are on.
I think it depends on your personality type, what sort of person you are, what sort of player you are, because there's obviously loads of ways to do it. I understand why I asked the question, because $10 an hour is probably a livable wage in quite a lot of countries these days, especially with this global recession and what have you. I wouldn't want to do it by grinding at the lowest stakes, because I think that can be quite soul destroying sometimes. You know, if you're like just constantly bashing, I don't know, 200,000 hands of 5-0 a month out, and never being able to move up in stakes because you need to pay yourself a wage. So you can never really build a bankroll that allows you to move up, because you're always drawing so you can eat and put your heating on. That's not a way I'd want to do it.
Do you think they could do
it's
it?
A legitimate way to do it.
5-0.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. If you've got a win rate of, who knows, say 5 bigs at 5-0, which I'm sure it has to be possible for tabling it at Zoom. I'm sure it has to be. What's that going to be? That's going to be 1,200 hands an hour at 25 cents per hand. So that's 25 cents per 100, and we're playing 1,200 hands, so it's 12.25. It's like $3 an hour, $2.50, $3 an hour, just from. Oh no, you probably couldn't have found on that calculations, could you? No, you need to. If you had like 10 big blinds at 100, which I don't know if you can get that at 5. So maybe I'm bullshitting there. Maybe you have to play 8 tables of Zoom. I don't really know. I think you couldn't probably do it until maybe 10 and 11. And but as we've talked about before, as I've talked about millions of times, this is kind of what I don't like about speed poker. I like the fact it gives people a chance to support themselves, and I don't deny anyone the chance to support themselves. And I think if somebody can support themselves with poker, that's fantastic. No. But it's not good for the games where you can have people just smashing volume out over like a huge month, and then just like having the whole 5-0 scene and 10-0 scene just being like people grinding out minimum wage. And where do the recreational players get the pressure
and that's
from?
Kept
That
the
kind of thing.
rewards
That's why I don't
well,
like it.
Hasn't it? Because if some folk do that volume,
of course it has, but
they've got to limit the rewards.
Yeah, they have, and I'm guessing. I think I read somewhere that Gold Star's like probably the best place to be on PokerStars now, rather than Apart from obviously like Supernova and what have you, because that's like, it's not that much of a jump from platinum to gold. I can't remember exactly what it was because I don't really follow it, but I remember thinking it was quite interesting that quite a few people were agreeing that Gold Star was like a better banding than platinum, which didn't make sense to me. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's just, is that what you really want to do? I mean, grinding 10 and 11, I guess if you live in some like third world like economy type country where you can't get a job, or where you can get a job but you can only earn maybe $300 a month, $400 a month doing it, and you can make $1,000 a month playing poker. Of course, you're going to go and play poker. I don't knock
some
anyone
folk use
for
it
doing
to
that.
travel.
I think it's fair play
It's quite
to
a
them.
good thing, you take your laptop and off you
Yeah,
go.
they do. People go and use it. Yeah, of course, and I've no objection to any of those guys doing it. I just think, from my point of view, and it can't be good for the poker economy because people can't move up any because they're playing, they're withdrawing to eat and to drink and to do all the things we need to do to stay alive, but they can't really get ahead much. And I've always tried to encourage people to maybe play lower volume and try and like climb up the limits a little bit where you're not stuck in where like the rake's really eating you. For example, if I play 10 and L on triple eight, I might end up paying with my particular style of poker because I'm pretty nitty. I don't pay tons of rake, but there I might end up paying maybe 10 or 11 blinds 100 in rake, whereas at 50 and L I might end up playing maybe just paying 7 to 8 blinds 100 in rake, and I think it makes a huge difference. And for me, it's I'd want to play somewhere where my BB per 100 was bigger than the BB per 100 I'm paying in rake. Now I understand some people can get good rate back deals. If you can get a decent rate back deal which cuts your BB 100 rate down to say 6 effectively, then yeah, by all means go ahead and do it. I think if I was going to have to grind for rate back and I was somebody playing 20 or lower, I guess I would probably do it on like microgaming or iPoker or somewhere where I was getting at least 30 to 35% rate back, which I don't believe you can achieve on PokerStars. I'm not sure you can achieve 35% rate back at 5 and L or 10 and L. Maybe you can, fuck it, I don't know. I've never looked into it because it's never so much floated my boat. But that's how some players go about it. I wouldn't personally. If you're asking me from a UK point of view, how can I earn minimum wage in the UK playing poker, or just over minimum wage in the UK playing poker, I would absolutely say play on a site like Unibet or Sky if you're happy playing regular tables, and just grind out 6 tables of 25 to 50 nil on Unibet, or 30 and 40 nil on Sky. And to do that, you don't need a huge bankroll because the games are much softer. And you can get by playing 40 nil on Sky off $1,000 quite comfortably. I don't think you might have a few downswings here and there, but as long as you're sensible, and if your roll takes a hit, you move down and play 20 and 30 to rebuild rather than 30 and 40. I think you're fine. On Unibet, I think you can get by playing 50 and L off maybe $1,000 as well, maybe 1,250. If you're playing 25 and L, you probably get by off €600. And if you're 6-tailing 25 and L on Unibet, and you're doing it for a reasonable amount of hours, say 100 hours a month, I'd be very surprised if you couldn't make €10 an hour 6 table in 25 and L. I've been playing mostly 25 and L for the last couple of weeks. It's hard to know what my hourly results are, but it seems like I'm making enough if I wanted to.
So where did you say that, Unibet?
I could probably get away with it, but I wouldn't want to not work, so that's how I would do it. Unibet, yeah. If I was more like somebody who didn't have a bankroll, I didn't have as much of a bankroll and I couldn't play that high, then I would say you need to be probably, because the problem is 10L doesn't go on iPoker, does it? So you want to be playing, if you want to play somewhere, it's like 5 and L and jumps up to 20 L if you want to play speed poker. So I would probably, and the problem with AAA is they've got 10 and they jump to 30, there's no 20. So I would guess you probably need to go and play somewhere like, if you had to play somewhere for Zoom Poker, I'd say PokerStars would be one of the better options, and just hope that you can maybe be one of the better players, maybe grind out 2.5 bigs 100, 4 table in 25 and L. And with a bit of rate back, that should take you to like over $10 an hour. I don't necessarily would at 2 blinds 100 at 25 and L. At 1,200 hands, we're getting like 50 cents per 100. We were getting $6 an hour before rate back, wouldn't we? So then, if we're getting another $3 an hour rate back, it's $9 an hour. Current exchange rate, that's around £6.5.
No, it does
So
sound
yeah,
like a nightmare.
if that's the life
But
you want to do, if you want to grind 1,200 hands out for minimum wage, well, PokerStars fucking...
as
Well,
you say, I think it's
PokerStars rub
better
on
here
your
to go
deposits
out
on
and
the
work,
tits,
you
that's
know, and
fine.
have
Go ahead and do
a
that.
sort of work life. But for travelling is what attracts me to it.
Yeah, well, it is.
And
I did...
unfortunately, you'd be stuck
Go on, sorry.
with maybe PokerStars or something, you know, because
Yeah,
they're
well,
available
you're
in
probably
most
a lot younger
countries.
than me. Yeah, and I don't know if, for example, with me being a Sky player, I don't know if I'd travelled with me being UK based and having my bank account in the UK and all that. I don't know if I picked my laptop up and
You
just
probably
fucked off
couldn't,
to Thailand. I don't know if
because
Sky
they'd be
are still
risking the
playing that. I've
license,
never
wouldn't
looked
they?
into it because
Yeah, their license will be,
like,
restrict them.
is that how it would work then? Would it? So you couldn't? I see. Right. Well, no, because I've never looked into it because the furthest I travel is like fucking Ulverston, or, or, or Preston or something like that, from my little base in the UK.
Yeah.
So I honestly don't know, but there are tons of ways to still do it out there. It's just not as easy as it used to be. I think that's the problem we're all finding.
Yeah.
It's not that easy. It used to be where people had the ambition to go and earn, $50, $100 an hour. That's still possible, I guess, if you're one of the very best players. But most of the guys is for them are going to be guys like you and I who are, very competent players.
Yeah.
But we're facing constantly other competent players, which is the biggest problem in my opinion at the micro stakes. Is there's just lots and lots of similarly skilled people grinding out against each other, chopping up fishes' money, but the rake just takes too much of a cut, and I think that's the big issue in poker at the minute. The rake at the lower stakes is taking a huge cut. Now, whether the sites could maybe think about reducing the rake in the lower stakes, I don't know. I know Pokers hasn't putting the prices up. That's what's been pissing all the high stakes pros off. But if they could put the price up for the high stakes pros, and I think instead of just giving it back in shitty rewards to the lower stakes players, actually make, I don't know, to make 2-0 rake free or something, or make 5-0, reduce the rake cap at 5-0, just something to give that the real micro stakes players a break, to give them a chance to actually build a role as well as play for an income. That'd be nice if the guys who are playing in Eastern Europe could actually make their $6-7 an hour, and then make another $4 or $5 an hour on top, where you could use to build a bankroll, so it didn't clog up the nano stakes. I think that'd be a nice thing, but I can't see it happening anytime soon. So that's how I would do it. I personally, I try and make around €12 an hour, 12 to €15 an hour is my goal every month, and I do it by just. Well, I was trying to do it by playing on Snap. I've tried to kick fast for poker now. At the minute, I'm trying to do it by. I tend to mix 25 and 50 NL on Unibet because I like to keep my identity hidden. So I tend to usually play 3 tables of 25 NL, 3 tables of 50 NL. So I'm never going to be seen at one limit playing 2 tables on the same name, and it just helps me. I'm not quite properly rolled on Unibet 50 now yet because I haven't moved all my money around. But at the same time, I don't think I should be playing just 25 now because my overall net roll across all the sites is
that
more
all
than enough
6
to play
max?
50 now. I just haven't got all the money in one place. So I'm like mixing at the minute between 25 and 50.
Right.
I think the 50 game is significant.
Well, sometimes it's good,
it's
know,
all,
if
it's
you're
all
playing,
on there. The only full ring on there is tournaments.
too many tables.
Which is a shame because...
a couple of full ring, they're a bit slower.
I quite like full ring.
Do you know what I mean? If 6 is your maximum, you can maybe add it. If you can't really play 8, you could maybe play 6 max, and 2 full ring.
Yeah,
it's a bit slower.
Yeah, and that itself is sums up how much harder poker's getting because I never used to play 6 table. I used to back in 2007, 2008 when I was still able to think quite quickly. I was 14 tabling on iPoker. And now, I'm playing 6 tables, but I don't really want to. I'd rather play 4. Because it suits the pace I like to play my poker at. But at the minute I'm playing 6 because that's what I need to do to make the money to make. Maybe if I transition to hold it to 50,
do you not think
maybe I can switch down to 4 again.
More
the
of a
problem
win
with that is the
rate,
traffic
say,
is always there
8,
50 now.
25.
Yeah, it's definitely possible.
NL tables.
And I've known guys that have
450 NL tables. No, even though that they should really be softer in the 25.
Would I have a higher hourly rate? No, I don't think I would. No, they're soft there, but my game will regress. If I played 8 tables, unquestionably, my game wouldn't regress by more than half. I mean, if I was 8 table in 25-0 on Unibet, and assuming I had like one player worth playing at every table, so every table was like at least 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, which isn't always the case. That's a problem with 8 tables. Sometimes tables can be bad and you're not noticed for a few orbits and you've kind of just wasted the volume of that table. But assuming that every table had at least one spot worth playing, I was 8 tabling. No, I still think it cut into my win rate because I could feel my play not being its best at 6. When I play 4 tables, I am absolutely fully focused. I'm seeing everything that's going on at every table. I'm seeing which players just lost a stack. I'm seeing which players are tilting. I'm seeing which guys are there using like exploitable bet sizing, all those things. When I'm playing 8 tables, I start missing stuff like that. I start missing the guy who's potting it with his made hands and half potting it with his bluffs. I miss all that shit, and then it massively affects my win rate because whenever I'm playing poker, that's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the guys who are making mistakes. I'm not looking to try and outplay the regulars. I'm looking to outplay the regulars that aren't good regulars, and we all know that they're the guys that will 3-bet and then they'll just like bang C-bet 80% pot versus the guys that will C-bet 50% pot and all these things. I'm looking for the guys that when they check, they're always check folding. There's tons of people with tons of leaks, and you can't spot them on a site like Unibet if you're playing 8 tables because you've got no tracking software. You don't get to see anything except hands you're involved in. Whereas if I can see everything that's going on at every table, every time there's like a 3-bet pot, I can zone on that table and watch what's going on. Because 3-bet pots are things you need to learn to play well if you're going to have a good win rate at poker, because they're so damaging to your win rate if you fuck them up. So you've got to know what you're doing in the 3-bet pot. Single raise pots, whatever, you can kind of wing it a little bit in them. But in 3-bet pots, if you're fucking them up regular, you kind of you really are fucking your win rate right up. So I focus really hard on what's going on when people 3-bet, what they do it, what ranges they're doing it with, what positions they're doing it with. Have they got any very obvious tells post flop in terms of when they check and they always check folding, or when they bomb it, and all these things. I want to go back in and I look at the hand histories. I want to see what they've done, and I can't do any of that when I played 8 tables. 8 tables are just turned into some fucking real ABC, play my own cards, play the board, that's it type of player. At 4 tabling, I'm very much looking to exploit players much more. So no, I wouldn't. If I was hurting for money, I would have to play 8 tables at 25-0. But if I'm rolled, but yes, you have to, absolutely. The more hands per hour you're playing, the more important a HUD becomes. The less hands per hour you're playing, the HUD. If you're playing 4 tables, you shouldn't even need a HUD. You should be capable of paying attention to what's going on in the pots where you need to know what's going on. I mean, it doesn't matter what some guys min-raising the button with and then C-betting half pot on the flop and giving up with. None of that shit matters very much, Because his range is going to be weak, full stop. When he goes small C-bet, check back and turn, that they've got a strong range. It's what's happening in the big pots you need to know, and how people play their big hands or their big hands that don't improve. Say, I don't know, someone 3-bets queen and it comes down ace
because
king
you
X.
keep changing names on that site, isn't
Somebody
it?
3-bets ace king and it comes down deuce 4.
I mean, you're
all
constantly
these
taking
things,
that in,
they're things I
you
want
can't
to know.
take notes on it.
They're the things I can
you've got to
absolutely
relearn it every
exploit.
day. Yeah.
It is, but that's why you have to pay attention even more. You've got to be super paying attention because you only get little bits of clues here and there, and if you can piece the clues together pretty quickly.
Do you think you're recognising the players?
I'm starting to see now different names doing the same things almost. So I'm getting used to seeing the lines that people are taking.
Yeah.
Possibly. Or there's certainly player types. There's a bunch of players, and I don't know how many there is, obviously, but there are some players that are like C-betting 80% pot in 3-bet pots when they've got it, and then never betting when they haven't got it, and they're just folding for like 1/3 pot bets, fucking 30% pot bets. And I'm starting to pick up now. I'm just starting to develop lines that work. If I see someone at 80% pot in it, then next time they 3-bet it in that position, they don't bet it. I'm just going away. I'm just firing me 35% pot bets, and whether it's up against the same guy or whether it's a group of guys doing that, I'm not sure. I don't honestly know, but I'm definitely starting to notice trends. The more I do it, the more I play here.
Don't know you can do it or something.
I'm starting to notice trends, and there are some guys who are just beyond dumb, and they never change the screen name from day to day, which is fucking absolutely insane. Straight away, I haven't got a fucking clue. I mean, it just makes no sense to me. And then there's a couple of guys in another chat group that I'm in, and they actually deliberately just played 6 tables on 2 screen games so they could develop dynamics with other regulars. I'm like, you're fucking doing it all wrong, and they don't have it. They just don't. They think they've got some edge.
Table, you know how
to
deal with them.
you might be developing some edge against the other guys thick enough to fucking not change the screen names, but against someone like me, you know, I just see you at 3 tables doing the same things, and I've got 3.
I remember
and
one of the sweats, and there was a guy on it,
who I am,
was saying,
and I can see you doing all these exploitable things.
Because he never changes his name, and you said,
whatever, I don't care. I give up talking to you about it now because now I just like the fact they're doing it, and I just sit there. Yeah.
No,
exactly. Yeah, you just have to be a fucking idiot to do that. So yeah, that's how I do it. Now, I
don't know if
other people have different methods, but there's lots of ways to still do it.
It was just, you know, I don't know if you noticed in the group we were talking about just calling, just flattening to connectors, and you know, it just doesn't seem to work at Zoom. Yeah. Zoom actually is a different. A lot of poker logic just doesn't really work at Zoom, does it? Yeah, and you can see that in the group, folk. Well, for a start, folk that playing Bovada, it's a completely different game, isn't it? You know, they've got win rates way above everybody else in the group. You know what I mean? They're absolutely.
I think people play. You know, oh, it's completely different. I think with Bovada, you can, yeah. With Bovada, that you can and absolutely just have to have some really knocked in strategies. If you can standardise your game to like where you know you can almost fucking autopilot if you get it good, because that's all you can do. There's nothing you can do with it. If you're playing zone, every single hand in the vacuum. So you just have to have. This is my. Like, you know me. I hate standards. I fucking hate standard. Apart from like raising with pocket aces and folding 7 deuce. Yeah. I hate standard lines. I think if you have too many standard lines, I think it really just like. I think it limits you. I think it puts a ceiling on what you're capable of achieving. Especially if your standards are just standards you've stolen from somebody else and you don't even understand them very well. So you don't know when to, like, the 10 or 15% of the time when not to apply them. So I think it can be really quite damaging. But I think on something like Bovada, you have to have lots of standard lines because you can't ever get inside someone's head. You can't pick up any size intelligence to anybody because it's completely different every hand. But when it comes to like Zoom and Snap and what have you, they're completely different games to regular tables. They're like chalk and cheese. You only got to look at. I was looking at the lobby the other night because Grant was talking to me about it, and he's on about going back to Poker Stars. And I went and looked, and at 5-L there was like 300 players in the pool, or maybe more. And the players per pot was 12%. You know, players were flop. I was like, fucking hell, you know. And it's just. I don't know, I mean, even when it's up, it's higher, so it's only like 15, 16%. Then I'll go and play 50NL on Unibet, and there's maybe fucking, I would have, they haven't got these stats, but I'd be stunned if it wasn't above 20%. I'd be absolutely stunned, because no fucking ever folds, you know. You got a place like Snap, where people are constantly folding, so you're not making money by making people fold because people still have negative red lines, so that's not true. People say, oh, you make money at Snap by making people fold. That isn't true, because if it was true, you would see people producing graphs with positive red lines and negative blue lines, I guess. But you do, that's how you like prop yourself up. If you're a good player, you prop yourself up by having like a break-even red line. By making people fold a lot, by people do fold a lot. And
still tack, but
it's just really dull for me. And
you know, to me, it's just
that was a question I wasn't actually kind of track. I don't want to get an anti-Zoom rant.
You know, yeah.
Well, I think you need to use your hood well.
They're doing it as standard
I think if you
lines,
always flatten 8-7
and they're doing it against unknowns,
no matter
so
who
you
the
just
fucking
don't know.
player
You
was,
could be doing it
and
against
who
a guy
was in the
and you're
blinds.
going to see bet 100%.
Yeah, you're clearly making
you
a
really need
mistake.
to,
You know, well, maybe it's a break-even play or
I mean,
something. By the time rake's taken out, it's a losing play.
You know,
yeah. Yeah, I'd need to know something about somebody, I think. I wouldn't want to do it against some random unknown. If I just had like 40 hands on somebody and they were playing fucking 18/15 with a 60% C bet, just some complete random, total stereotypical, like fucking 10 or regular.
Yeah, I do that. Yeah.
I wouldn't want a flat 8-7 suited on the button versus him. But if I could look into it and he either had like a
no, and he doesn't
really high C bet or really, especially
you know
really low C bet, I do like flatting
and even if you do
low C bets.
say 2 pair,
because I get to realise your equity more against people. Then it's not going to be like C bet at 80%.
You just don't get paid the way you used
not
to
a good
in the past.
To place it with
So hitting
against.
these rare hands, getting the guy stacked. So in the long run, I just don't see how it pays.
No, well, that's it. You need to know someone's got a hand as well.
No, I mean,
everyone likes it. I like them,
and I'll three
but
bet them, I'll raise them. But
it's
a flat calling.
I don't think we can rule out playing them. I don't think we should always play them. This is why I hate standards. Because it sounds like you're completely ruling out playing them, and other people play them all the time, and I'm in the middle.
I just don't get it. Playing 10-7 suited out of position is good against a good player. Do you know what I mean? You're like
versus steals and things. Yeah, but that's something that I've struggled. I think what that comes from is people like, you need to defend these hands against the button min raise because it's like profitable to do so. And I get that. I do understand that, folding 10-7 suited, some guys open 80% of the buttons. I get that we're folding our blind too much. Yeah. But the problem is that the guys in the group, myself to a certain extent, and tons of guys who were listening to this, is that the hand just doesn't end there. If it was like to call them in raise and then deal the cards out, see who wins, that's fine. 10-7 suit is going to do just fine. Of course it is. But if you're playing at a positional disadvantage with a hand like 10-7 suited against some guy, just say you and I have exactly the same ability, and you're playing 10-7 suited out of position versus me, I guess you're going to lose to the rake when you're out of position, and then you could turn the hands around and then play 10-7 in position, and you're going to beat the rake. And I think that's what it is. It's just like it doesn't just end pre-flop. You've got to then be skilled in playing it post-flop. Because if you're the sort of guy who flops a 7 on, say, I don't know, 7, 9, 6, deuce, 4 board, and you check call 3 streets and get shown pocket 10s or pocket jacks all the time, you're going to be a losing player. You've got to know when your hands still playable post-flop, when it isn't. And the problem with suited connectors is that people want to flop straights and flushes and straight draws and flush draws and things, and they end up flopping shitty little bits and pieces. Like they'll flop second pair with the back door, and they'll check call, and they'll check call the turn, and they'll check for the river, or they'll end up calling too much. It's not just a matter of
maths when it
my
isn't really,
equity.
you're just at a
disadvantage. I've got 40% equity versus range, so I'm getting 3.5 to 1 pre-flop, so folding's a mistake. It's not about that. You've got to then get to the river and realise that equity too. And lots of guys just and that's it.
Yeah.
If you're a really good player, if you're better than the person min raising the button, I think you can make it work. But if you're honest with yourself and you say, this guy's actually a pretty good player and he's not going to let me realise all my equity here, then I think you can start making some tight folds and thinking about, this guy's min raising my button constantly. How am I going to defend effectively versus this type of player, rather than just reading on 2+2 or Reddit or somewhere, or LOL 10-7 suited have to defend, and then not have a fucking clue how to play it post flop. I think it's quite. Yeah. When you see people posting hand histories, you got to defend. I see people in videos. I have to defend this hand, but then they don't actually go ahead and help people learn how to play them post flop. They say you've got to defend it, and then you're on your fucking own. They're throwing you in the sea like fucking one water wing on and saying, fucking swim, and you're flapping your hands about and you're going around in a fucking circle because they're throwing your swimming pool right in the middle, but they're not actually teaching you how to swim back to the fucking edge again. Yeah, and he's right. You are getting odds. You're getting odds to defend and see a flop. But if you're playing someone that's similar ability or slightly better than you, and you're giving up positional advantage to them, it's going to be hard to beat the rake. Then it really is. I think you've got to know ways you're going to outplay the guy post flop. Maybe you see bets too often, so your plan's going to be to check raise any equity. Maybe he never see bets, so you can donk into it sometimes, or maybe You know, who knows? Maybe he's forced too many donk bets so you can start donking when you flop something. There's lots of ways you can maybe think about making it work for your post flop. Yeah. But if your plan is I'm going to just call and then fucking whoever, I haven't got a plan after that, then it's a shit plan.
Yeah.
If your plan is, I know this guy, he c-bets too much, so if I flop a pair or I flop some like 2 backdoor draws, I'm going to use my equity to check raise him or something like that. By all means, go ahead and do it. But if your plan is just, I need to call because someone on some forum said folding, this is a mistake, and then that's fucking it, you're just completely splashing around in the dark, then you are making a mistake, and the guys that are telling you need to defend those hands,
your
and then not helping you
would
devise strategies for different people.
You know, they
they're
know
being quite irresponsible.
Your range is weak.
Defend this hand
So
because you must,
double
and then put you on your own post flop.
You know what I mean? So,
you know, it's like,
does it make sense?
Poker doesn't stop at pre-flop. You know, poker starts on flops, not stops on flops. Yeah. You know. That's assuming people. Yeah, but that takes on to another subject though, because they are assuming people use the hoods effectively, and the best regulars do, of course they do.
Yeah.
But there's so many players that I've spoke to that have come to me, and the guys that are in the group, you'll know some of them, you'll have seen some of them coming and going, and they'll get to videos and they'll be making videos. I'll be watching them, reviewing, and they never use the hoods because the way I work is I ask people to record sessions and we watch them back most of the time, and I ask them to pause the video and say, what do you know about this guy? Nothing. Well, why aren't you using your HUD to see how often he falls to see bets? Or how often he does this, he does that, or does the other. And the crux of it is they don't have time. They're just rushing everything. They're rushing every single decision. They're not using the HUDs. They're not taking time to think about anything. And that's just where poker is now, especially in speed poker. Yeah. It's just people, it's like fights you see on Scooby-Doo and stuff. It's like a big circle of ball of dust with arms and legs sticking out. And no one's, the best players are doing it well, but all the break even to worse regulars, they're just fucking it up. They really are just fucking too much up. They've got good pre-flop stats.
In the last ranges, you just give them the ranges basically, isn't it? So everybody knows what ranges to play.
They're okay
the trouble is they're playing
looks
quite weak ranges, and as you say, they don't know
but
the
when you
rest
look
of the
under
game.
the hood, a lot of them are still fucking awful post-flop because they don't know. They haven't got a clue what they're doing. They literally have no idea what they're doing. No, they don't. I mean, I like working with full-on proper beginners because I can hopefully steer them away from a lot of the mistakes. Now, I mean, I get a lot of criticism saying that, I can't believe people pay you for your coaching, etc., etc. But I just try and make sense of the things for people that no one's making sense of, like the whole defending suited connectors, but then being left on your own post flop. There's loads of advice out there that's really good in for one situation. I think we're all running
before we can walk as well.
But when I saw these ranges, like a tree with branches coming off. There's one situation pre-flop that can have 8 different branches of it post flop. And if you're not experienced at tiptoeing down all them branches,
you don't really know what to do with the range. Actually, you're playing it.
And that's kind of what happens, and there's tons of good advice out there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's it. And there's absolutely loads and loads and loads of good free information out there. You can get loads of good information just for forums and asking questions, but they still don't teach you how to play it in all situations. Whenever you're looking at something on a forum, it's always just about one situation, that one vacuum. There's not that much talk about anything that comes off from it. Like, 3-bit ace king, you have to 3-bit your ace king pre-flop, but then no one goes about talking about against this player on this different flop, and they don't go down all the possible scenarios. Like with 3-bit ace king, we flop trips, we flop a boat, we flop a straight, we flop nothing. There's loads of different ways after the flop, and there's too much to go into on a forum. And but sometimes I can have a session with a guy and we can just talk about how to play ace king post flop for 45 minutes, and that's been a huge thing to them, because that $25 they've set on that 1 hour session, it probably pays back in a week.
Yeah, I mean, I wait if
and they've got it forever. They really have got that information, that knowledge forever. And that's just it. It's just people try and standardise things way too much, which gets back to your question of suited connectors. I think if you're folding all the time, I think you're doing it wrong too. I think there's somewhere in the middle, and you've got to play a hand, no matter what your hand is.
Yeah.
No, it really isn't. No. No, that doesn't happen anymore. That doesn't happen anymore. To stack people at Zoom, you've got to have something, and they've got to have something. No. I don't think you get stack aces anymore. If you flop like, okay, I don't know, you call the aces 10-9 suited, and the flop comes down 8 Queen Jack. If you think you're just stacking aces all the time there in a single race spot, you're living in fucking dreamland. It's not happening. It's just not happening. People are folding the races at some point there. You're not getting full stack value. I think the only time you can truly say you got implied odds these days is in a really expensive way, which is when you're calling 3 bets against overpairs. Because,
as you were saying earlier,
that's like, well, it costs too much to do that. A lot of the time now people 3 bet to 9 blinds or whatever.
But that was as a way up to high blinds,
nowhere near
like 5 players out of 6
types of hands.
Just everything's just tightening
because regulars
up,
are just getting way
it?
too good at just not stacking off, particularly in single race pots.
£5.50.
People just don't stack off like in single race pots anymore. So that's the suited connectors.
That was a turbo start with 1,000 chips. The blinds were up to 600.
Yeah, and what?
And there was 5 of us still at the
what
table.
buy-in was that?
Isn't it?
What buy-in was that as well?
Drunk, I know you shouldn't play when you're drunk,
so
but
that's a £5.50 double or nothing sitting on Sky Poker.
Stars,
that's the softest place on earth. And like you said,
and
you started
so
2,000
tight,
chips.
I couldn't believe it. I just closed them. I was just wanting, a bit of a tear up, and I didn't get it.
That sounds fucking ridiculous. That sounds like you haven't. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, poker is this. It's tight. Even pot limit Omaha's tight. Everyone's playing fucking tight everywhere. At sit and goes tournaments a lot. Everyone's realised it uses to tighten up and just fucking survive. It's almost like poker's in the middle of a nuclear winter, where everyone's there just fucking, just really battening down the hatches, trying to stay warm, and hoping that eventually something happens, something changes on the poker scene, where we can all actually start making some money again. Because it's really hard to win at poker these days. It really is. And if you're breaking even, you're doing really fucking well. If you're breaking even at poker now, you'd have been a crusher 10 years ago. And that's just how hard it is. I'm not going to be too negative about it, but that's where we are with poker. I'm playing better poker than I've ever played in my life,
Italians
and I'm
Spanish
making less money than I was 2 years ago. And that's just how poker is. It's just where it's gone. It's an unfortunate situation. There's a few things that need to change. They probably won't change in a timely manner. We need to get Americans back. We need to get. I live in the European Union, and I can't play fucking poker with French
rules,
people.
really, isn't it?
But people from fucking Poland,
people,
and I'm like a socialist, so I mean, don't take this with any the wrong way. But people from Poland can come over here and like just come and instantly like claim benefits, live in my country, but I can't play poker with the French guy. And it's like, what sort of fucking world is that, where people can come into? Of course it is. They can come into. It's restriction of movement. It's restriction of trade. It's all sorts of things, because people can come to my country, and they can take out of a system they've never put into, because they're part of the EU now, which is brilliant. I have nothing against it whatsoever. Genuinely haven't. I'm neither pro nor anti-European. I don't think I know enough about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we're having like a really open, like, this is it within the EU. I want to be able to play fucking poker with Italians and fucking French people and Spanish people.
And Australians.
You know what? We need to be playing poker with the people with the rich
They're the
economies.
best ones
like
to play against. And it's true, isn't it?
Splintered off. France completely splintered off. Spain, Italy. All these countries that have relatively strong economies. I can't play poker with any of them, and that's the big problem.
No, it's fair. It's €300 monthly wage.
They absolutely are. Because you find more recreational players. With all due respect to somebody from the Ukraine or from Lithuania or Estonia, places like that, and I know some guys from there, and they're all thoroughly nice chaps. None of them have got a pot to piss in. So I mean, if I live in Estonia and I'm earning €300 a fucking month, how on earth am I going to find money to play 50 NL? I'm not,
Sky
and that's
feels
the problem with the
just
economy.
guys wanting to
And that's
gamble,
what makes
doesn't
Sky
it?
and Unibet a bit better, I think, because
I
don't know the make of the players on Unibet, but it doesn't play like you're playing against a lot of a lot of people that are playing really hard for an income.
Yeah.
I think you're playing again. I don't know why it is. It's because you don't have no locations on there, but it feels more like it's a Western European site than one that many Eastern Europeans play on. It is a lot of the time. I think
is that
when
30 now, you said
up to
20. Yeah.
If you're good at table starting, or if you're comfortable table starting, you can do just fine on Sky. I think 50NL there's definitely still dead money there. 100NL I don't know, I've never played it very much. 30NL there's tons of dead money. 20NL literally is one of the softest games I've ever played in my life.
It does. It's actually tiring.
20
it's
NL.
So bad.
You go on 20NL table, you get on 6 20NL tables at Sky and not have the software tilt you, and you can make a decent. I think if you give me Sky's quality game 6 tabling, 20NL, I'm going to say I could probably earn £10 an hour. But the problem is for me. Is that the software just tilts me too much.
Right?
Otherwise, I'd be on Sky now rather than Unibet.
A new one will open up, full screen, and just obliterate all the other games.
You find yourself having to click things 2 or 3 times to make them work. My fans start my computer's pretty
sorry,
good.
You're going crazy.
The fucking fans start worrying at me, and
I start getting hot. I start
feeling hot even though I'm not, and everything just gets too much for me. It's like, you know what, fuck this shit.
When I was taking a note or something, it starts another game. But you don't know unless it was like 5 already listed and it opens right away. so I mean, you think you're finished, you're just about to walk away from the computer and the game comes up.
Yeah, it's it.
Yeah. It's like getting in your way.
I haven't noticed that.
Yeah.
But what used to tilt me on Sky was that I'd leave a table, and because I didn't press that fucking stupid stand-up button, the fucking thing I keep popping back up at me.
No, that's it.
I'd be like
headbutting
my fucking keyboard. But that's part of what makes Sky soft, is the fact the software is so shit. If it had better software, I'm imagining there'd be more people migrating from other sites to play there. So I guess that's part of
thousands a month, isn't there? There's not really any talk about
big win rates. Things are going to go wrong sometimes.
Win rate.
So I guess that's what it is. Right, buddy, have you got any more before we go? That's excellent. I really enjoyed that chat. So I hope people have enjoyed it, because this is what I'd like to do. Just once a week, just talk to someone about their thoughts on poker and what have you. Yeah. So yeah, I've enjoyed it, sir. There's not much out there that I could find for new recreational micro-stakes players. There's not much out there. It's almost like there's an expectation these days that everyone knows how to play poker to a particular level.
That's
and it's
huge,
just not true.
Isn't it?
It's really not true. Maybe 99% of the poker playing population, or maybe not 99, 95% has an idea of which hands to play pre-flop. So, and they can make themselves appear like they know what they're doing, but it's just such a small part of poker pre-flop. You know, there's other things going to it, mental game, bankroll management, game selection, post-flop, flops, turns, rivers. There's just all these loads and loads of things, and like everyone just focuses on getting themselves to play 22/18, 6-3 bet, and think they've solved poker, and you haven't. You're not even started. You haven't even scratched the surface, and that's hopefully where people like me come in, and they can help some guys who are actually open-minded enough to think, you know what, I can't learn it all just from a fucking forum, or I can't learn it all just from watching 2 videos and run it once. Hopefully that's where I come in to try and make sense of things to people, but you know. Some people hate it, some people love it.
But because the time you get paid off by, you win the stack.
Well, I've learned how to do it, and I still play tight. And I haven't said I've learned it well, but I think I play pretty well post-flop. And I still play tight because there's just tons of hands that, in my opinion, don't beat the rake anymore. They used to beat the rake. They don't anymore. Like suited connections would be a prime example. Small pairs, maybe another example. There's just hands... Yeah, hands that used to go under the little banner of implied odds hands. They don't have the same implied odds strength they used to have. So therefore they don't beat the rake. For example, in tough games, I don't raise deuces through sixes under the gun. I just don't do it. I don't give a shit. People can tell me that I should do. I don't fucking care. I don't do it because I don't think I beat the rake doing it. If I'm playing a tough table with like 3 or 4 regulars, that all have position on me, I'm not going to just open deuces for them to make me fold post flop like 80% of the time that I don't flop a set. Of course, I open. I'm going to get 3-bet at least. Well, I put the stat in Holder Manager a while ago, and when I open under the gun, I get 3-bet like 18% of the time. So that's 18% of the time folding straight away. That's not counting the time to never make a set. And then my C-bets don't work because, it's just hard to play pocket twos out of position when you miss. Do you want to C-bet? Do you just want to give up?
Zoom,
if
you don't want to waste time on a hand that's going to only run you half a big blind.
So it's just, it's too hard to figure out how to play it perfectly for like the rewards on show. Fair enough, maybe I could make pocket twos work for half a big blind 100 under the gun, or one big blind 100 under the gun, if I put fucking loads and loads of work in. But then you've got to have super mental game strength too. And I just think you can make things a little bit easier for yourself. Cut a few hands out.
To say they're loose.
No, I think for that 1 minute that you're playing that hand, you could have cycled through, I don't know, 12 hands and got something much more playable. Who knows? There's all sorts of things go into it, and that's why it's knitting up, because the guys that think you can play loose aggressive at Zoom, they're the ones that are losing to all the nits. I think.
Yeah.
I think it. There's loads. I think it's the tight players that make most of the money at Zoom, especially the micro stakes. I think the guys that are playing too loose, they end up playing too much rake. They might have the same win rate as me pre-rake. Yeah. I might play 18-14, you might play 26-22. Pre-rake, we both might win 6 big blinds 100 or 8 big blinds 100. But they're getting raked almost 50% more than me. And that's it. I just don't think they're making a lot of the hands. They think they're making them pay. They think they build up dynamic, they build up image. And I don't think they're getting what they pay for. The really, really good ones are. The ones that aren't very good at it aren't. And that's how it is. But I'm going to go now, buddy, because I'm going to watch about 20 minutes of that fucking American football shit before I get bored of it again. All right, buddy, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. You take care, my friend. Bye-bye now.